Change your diet, change your life, change the planet.
Hi, I'm out in Woodford, Vermont again doing a snowshoe, and it's awesome. Such a beautiful day today. It's cold, but it's crystal clear and I'm loving it. But I almost didn't get out here today. This video series started back on December 11th. I was going through a really tough time, and I wasn't sure if I'd be able to continue training or anything else for that matter. Well, I made it through. It's March 5th. So I've made it through a couple months now. And the challenges didn't go away. It's still really difficult, but I've gotten myself into action. I keep getting started because it's all about getting started. That's the hardest part. Once you're in motion, it's easy to keep going, but getting to the start line, wow. So for the past few months, I've been getting started every day, and it's changed my life over these past few months. In a few days, I'm heading to Quebec for the World Snowshoe Championships. That's right, I've been one of 50 athletes from around the world invited to compete in the World Championships, and I'm in the best shape ever right now. So I'm really excited for that, and I've been running like 60 miles a week on snowshoes, plus another 30 or 40 on the roads. So I'm really fit. Yesterday, I hosted a snowshoe race up here in Woodford. So before the race, I had to mark the course. So I ran 5 miles with flags, marking the course. A third of the course was totally untracked, and there was about a foot of fresh snow with a crust on top. So I'm breaking through the deep snow and through the crust, and it's yanking on my snowshoes. 5 miles, I get back 20 minutes before the start of the race, give people the instructions, and I'm off again. And I run the race, and I win the race. So I'm breaking trail again because there's only one set of tracks in the snow, mine. And I'm running faster now, so the footprints aren't matching up. So another 5 miles of breaking through the snow. I'm exhausted. But then I got to take all the course markings down. So after the race, I have to do the whole thing over again, another 5 miles on snowshoes. And when yesterday was done, I was done. I was just out. So I wake up this morning, and I don't want to get out of bed. I feel like I've been hit by a truck. I can barely even lift my legs, because snowshoeing really gets those leg lifting muscles, because you have to pick your legs up really high over the snow, and the crust keeps yanking on the shoes and pulling them down, and there's snow in the shoes, which makes them heavier, and just, you can't lift your legs. So my buddy Bob Dion of Dion Snowshoes calls me up and he said, hey, let's go for a run. I'm like, He's like, I feel like crap, because he did the race too. He's like, I don't want to run, so come over here and make me run. So I was really grateful for that call, so I got myself dressed. I got myself in the car. I thought, I'll run like 2 or 3 miles with Bob and that's it. Get over there, we're both complaining and moaning and bitching and how horrible we feel. We start running, we're off at like a 10-minute mile pace, and we're both exhausted, and it's just miserable. So we finished the loop, and I thought, I want to see if I can go a little bit further. So I kept going, I did another loop, and then I added some trails, and before you know it, I had done 10 miles. And now I was feeling really good, and I'm like, whoa, okay. So I went home, got some food, got my snowshoes, and I came up here to Woodford to get another snowshoe run in. And right now I'm at 3 miles, and I probably have 1.5 miles to get back to the car. So, I don't know, 14.5 miles for the day. On a day that I didn't want to get out of bed, didn't want to get out of the house, and definitely didn't want to run. And now I'm feeling fantastic. I'm up on top of the mountain, I'm watching the sunset. I've got the Green Mountain Range behind me. It's just beautiful. But I had to get started. I talk about gravity a lot in my videos. There's 2 kinds. There's the gravity of getting things done or getting things accomplished, and then there's the gravity of not getting things done. And the gravity of not getting things done, for some reason, is always stronger. We tend to hold on to the negative things much longer than we hold on to the positive things. So a month of getting started only has about this much gravity. But a single day of not doing anything at all has about this much gravity, maybe even more. So it's really important on those days when you don't feel like doing anything, do something. Get dressed. Get out the door. Complain all you want. Be a little baby, whine like I did today, but at least get started. Because once you're started, the hard part is over. And then you get to experience this. We live in the craziest time in history right now. Nobody ever has had so many details and pieces of information and variables and stimulus to deal with than we do now. We are constantly overwhelmed and stressed out and medicated, if not by drugs or alcohol, by food. Did you know that chronic stress is actually a mental illness? It is. It's not just I'm stressed, it's a mental illness. But it's a socially acceptable mental illness because our economy and our country and our culture cannot function if we are not all chronically stressed and overworked and overstimulated and overconsuming. Our economy depends on it. Our culture depends on you having a mental illness called chronic stress. This is a problem. So yeah, we bitch and moan because our society is insane. And I don't know who said this, but I've used this a lot in my life. Insanity is a sane reaction to an insane situation. We live in an insane situation. Most of the country has a mental illness. And many of us, I think they've said like 40% of Americans at some point will experience a severe depression. 40% severe depression. Okay, because that chronic stress, it builds up and builds up and builds up until you can't take it anymore, and then you just start building this shell over yourself to protect you from all the stimulus and all the details. And that's called depression. It's like a big shield that you put over your head because the enemy has launched 40,000 arrows into the air, and the only thing you can do to protect yourself is to put up the shield and hide. And that's a depression. Well, we have no problem in our culture giving sympathy to those that have physical ailments, physical injuries. But for some reason, there's a massive stigma against having a mental ailment or mental injury. When I was in college, I tore a few ligaments in my ankle several times, really messed it up. And I was on crutches a lot. And I would get so much sympathy. People would carry my books, they'd make food for me, they'd come hang out with me, they'd drive me to class, whatever it was. I got a lot of sympathy. But I also learned this in college, because that's when I started having severe depression. When I went down, nobody wanted to be around me. Physical injury, everybody loves you. They all want to help. Mental injury, dude, yeah, I'm sorry, not interested. If you got a broken leg, we'd help, but, you know, broken mind, yeah, don't know what to do. Kind of scary. Get over it. Move on. Dude, it's just change your attitude. Stop focusing on the negative. That's like telling someone with a broken leg to just run a marathon. Dude, you only have a broken leg. Big deal. Suck it up. Stop focusing on the negative. You got a perfectly good leg on the other side. So what? Your femur is sticking out of your leg? A compound fracture? Come on, stop being a baby. This is what our culture does. It creates a situation that forces us to be chronically stressed and then tells us that we're not allowed to feel that stress, that that stress is not okay, and it's our problem. It's our fault. If we have that stress. If we're depressed, it's our fault. It's my fault. I'm weak. But nobody ever says that I'm weak if I break a leg or break an arm or tear a ligament. They don't say, oh, dude, your arm is weak, your leg is weak, you got weak legs. No, but when the pressure's too much and we collapse under it, they say, oh, he's weak. I'm not weak. I just ran up this mountain on snowshoes. I'm not weak. I'm anything but. But sometimes it's just too much. It's like a stress fracture in the mind. So, your society is not going to be kind to you. And your friends and family are probably not going to be all that kind to you when you've got this kind of injury. So you got to be kind to yourself. You got to get started. You got to pat yourself on the back. You got to celebrate the little moments. You got to celebrate getting out the door. You got to celebrate getting dressed. Do you know what I said to myself when I did that second loop after I dropped Bob off today? I said, Tim, you're doing great. You're doing great. And I said it a couple times, and I smiled, and I was out there, and it was beautiful, and the sun is shining, and yeah, I'm doing great. And I'm going to pat myself on the back And I'm going to celebrate the little things, because those little things are getting me out here, and those little things are allowing me to take my life back in a society that wants to crush me. In a society that tells me that I'm not good enough, that I am weak, that I am lacking something, and therefore I must buy this product to fill that void. I must have this kind of relationship to complete me. A society that tells us that we are never good enough, we are never enough. But we're not allowed to admit it. It tells us that we're broken, but it also tells us we're not allowed to admit that we're broken. So be kind to yourself. Fall in love with yourself again. And get started. The world is waiting for you.